Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this, of course, is the Piracy Show. Now, originally I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about electronic warfare on today's episode, but something came up in 10 for the Chairman that I think possibly, kind of needed to be discussed a little bit. Just an interesting point. So before I go on and start, prattling on about this, I figure why not let the man speak for himself and then we'll discuss it afterwards.
Next question comes from Archangel, who asks, if ArcCorp is a relatively small landing area, as shown in the social module, and there was talk some time ago about 1,000 players per server instance, how many landing pads will be on ArcCorp? How will selecting those pads, landing and keeping those pads occupied work? Or will you just not be able to land until there's a clear pad? Don't think there was ever really talk of 1,000 players per server instance. I know we've talked that we were hoping to get somewhere between 50 and 100 players ultimately on a server, although we're not close to there yet. I think social we're about 25. We're hoping to boost that significantly for the next social release. We made some good strides, obviously, in Arena Commander. It's 16 right now. We have to do quite a bit of optimization on the spaceships, because
Now let's think about this for a second. 50 to 100 players per server instance. Now, 50 to 100 players, it sounds like a lot. 50 players, let's take 50 players. Let's just say 50 players at launch date. That's the most people you can put in a server instance. Maybe in the future more people, but initially 50 players. So let's think about, say, like a large org. Let's say you've bought yourself a Javelin. Now, the Javelin has since had the number rescinded off of its description, but originally was billed as 28 crew. 28 crew. So if you have that ship fully crewed, and we've heard so many times recently about how, if you want to operate that ship optimally, you're going to need like a full crew of humans. 28 people, that's more than half of an instance right there. 28. Now, but you're not going to take a Javelin out by itself. You're going to have, say like a small squadron of fighters, maybe like 6 or 7 fighters, kind of acting as a fighter screen for you. So, already you're, say, at about 35 players. Now, are you going to bring, say, a Starfarer along? Yeah, like a Starfarer Gemini? Because you want to refuel those fighters and possibly refuel the capital ship, depending on how much fuel it carries. Well, it's Starfarer Gemini is 7 players. So now all of a sudden you're at 42. And you could bring, say, a Reclaimer. Let's say you're going out there, you're going to be doing a combat operation. You bring a Reclaimer to salvage any ships you destroy, or you bring, a couple of boarding ships, depending on how many people those can carry, out there with you while you're doing your little operation. Well, you see how quickly you can hit that 50-player limit in even a reasonably sized org. Even if you don't have a Javelin, you're bringing out a couple of Idrises, or even if you're bringing out cargo ships. Some of the ships carry like between 5 to 10 players to operate those ships, 890 jumps, all that kind of stuff. You realize how quickly, even in a reasonably sized org, even if you're in an org that only, the biggest ship that you guys own is a Connie, and the rest of it is all Auroras, if you're in a reasonably sized org, you can easily hit that limit. And the thing of that is that when you realize what the end in-game application of that is you think about PvP or whatnot out in deep space. Let's say you wanted to go out there into deep space, and you wanted to go to where the most dangerous Vandul are, or the richest ores are, or the best salvage sites are out in deep space. You no longer have to worry about PvP. Because if you can hit that instance limit, you've locked your instance. No one else can get into that instance with you. And when you look at it realistically, that opens up the entire universe to you. Because you can no longer be kept out of any part of space, because as long as you travel with a large group of people, you can go wherever you want because no one else can get into that instance to interfere with you. The only thing that you have to worry about is NPCs. And even though game designers love to throw the word artificial intelligence or AI out for describing how NPCs are going to work, I mean, honestly, NPCs are always going to be predictable. They always operate within a certain pattern, within a certain set of rules, and they're predictable, and you can anticipate them and you can beat them. I mean, it's the core of just about every video game out there. No matter how well you design your NPCs, players will always find a way around them and a way to beat them. It's sort of like years ago when people were all talking about Big Blue and IBM's machine, computer that was beating all the best players at chess, which was a complete joke. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, machines are getting more intelligent than man. Oh my God, Big Blue, it's going to be Skynet." Da 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 da. And I was sitting there and I was hearing these stories about these people getting beaten by a computer at chess, and I was laughing. I was like, these guys got to be the stupidest people on the planet, because anybody, any reasonable human being can beat that computer at a game of chess. And you know how you do it? Here's how you do it. You sit down, you move your first pawn, then you reach over and you pour a glass of water onto the CPU of the computer and you wait. Time limit goes up, you win. You might say, "Oh, you're playing dirty." Yeah, but I'm thinking creatively. I'm thinking outside of the rules. AIs can't do that. So you don't have to worry about NPCs so much as you have to worry about other players being dangerous. And if you hit that server limit, even if it's more than a 50, if it's 75 or whatnot, you don't really have to worry about other players, because even if you can't quite hit that number, whoever gets into that instance with you is going to be horrendously outnumbered, so they're going to avoid you anyway. So you really don't have to worry about PvP if you don't want to, as long as you travel with a large group of people. Now you might say, "Oh, well, do you know how hard it's going to be to get 40, 50 people together at any given time?" And the truth is, not that hard, because when players start to realize that if they all get together at certain times and play together at certain times, and they can operate in any part of space they want with almost total impunity, they're going to gravitate towards those times. They're going to look forward to it. I mean, think about it. I mean, if you're talking about a game like World of Warcraft, now let's say during normal daytime hours between, say, 8 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock at night, whatever players can get on their own, whatever they can scrape together is the most that they can hope for. But if you say, "Hey, between 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night, if you log in then, I can guarantee you raid gear all the time. I can guarantee it to you all the time. 100% raid clears every night, very little effort. All you have to do is show up." And people are going to log in at those times. People are going to reshape their schedules around those times because they want that raid gear. They're going to line up for those times, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go. 6 o'clock, I'm ready. I'm here. Let's go." And it's going to be in Star Citizen. I mean, if people have Orions and they all get together and they want to mine the richest ores, if they realize that they can go out into the deepest parts of space and mine the richest ores, they can do so with relative safety with a small escort group, they're going to gravitate towards those times, and they're going to build their schedules around those times so they can use their Orions and they can make a lot of money because that's what they want. And so the implications for Star Citizen being that, people have always been worried about, "Oh God, the PvPers are going to lock us all out of deep space and we're all going to be stuck kind of scrounging cheap ores or cheap scrap, and we're never going to get to do the really, hard deep space missions because they're going to lock us out of it." No, if you play with a large group of people, you can basically, what they're saying right there is you can do whatever the hell you want to do, and you can go wherever the hell you want to go. As long as you bring a large group of people, you've got it. You can go wherever you want. You can do whatever you want. So going back to the first video in this series when I was talking about, people being all worried about piracy, and I said, it's not going to be that bad. When you think about the large distances within a system, and having to find another ship in that system with just what we've learned from the E-War document and signatures, already we know it's going to be tough. But now you add this onto it, it's going to be, people being able to go wherever they want in Star Citizen. It's going to be a breeze. And this game is, once again, like I've said before, it's going to be a mostly PvE game. PvP is going to happen in limited instances here and there, but it's going to be largely rare. So if you're sitting there and you're looking at a ship like the Orion, and you're thinking, well, I would love to get an Orion, or I would love to get a Carrack and go out and explore deep space, but I don't have to worry about getting hassled by other players all the time. If you work with a large group of people, chances are that's not going to be a danger for you. So for those of you who have been concerned about Star Citizen and not being able to really explore the whole game, or thinking that these PvPers are going to be out and they're going to destroy us and they're going to ruin our fun. I mean, what Chris Roberts said right there was more or less, this whole universe, I mean, as long as you play with a large group of people, this whole universe is entirely open to you, and you can do whatever you want. And it is, just there are safety in numbers, and keep that in mind. And I mean, for pirates, I mean, that just means that, I mean, if we're taking on, whether we're taking on, UEE NPCs or Vanduul NPCs or whomever, if we've got a large group together, I mean, when you take in your attack ships, your boarding ships, and your ships to haul away cargo, I mean, you can easily get very close to that instance population limit, if not right up to it. And even if you can't quite get to it, anybody who wanders into your instance is going to be drastically outnumbered. So overall, I think this is a good thing for the game, and I mean, it really doesn't change my point of view on the game, because I always knew this game was going to be mostly PvE with smatterings of PvP, and this just once again reinforces that. So overall, I think it's a very good thing, and so I think I'm going to title this video, Piracy is Not Going to Be As Bad As You Think, Part 2. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you have and you want to see more, you can click on this link to your right and go to last week's episode of the Piracy Show, or you can go to this link on your left and go to last week's episode of Ship Updates. Thanks for watching.